Hello, I'm Matilda Butler, bringing you the next in our Writing in 5 video series. This quick tip was inspired by a chapter David McCullough wrote discussing his research for the book John Adams. McCullough, of course, writes nonfiction, but over the years I've spoken to fiction authors who also, as McCullough would say, marinate their heads with information much broader than the particulars needed for the book. Why talk about David McCullough? With some guilt, I have to admit that recently Netflix delivered to my mailbox the 3-disc DVD set of John Adams, previously an HBO 7-part miniseries, and of course originally David McCullough's Pulitzer Prize-winning book. I figured I'd never get the volume read, given the ever-rising stack of books on my desk, so I was delighted to take a couple of evenings to see the dramatized version. In anticipation of developing this Writing in 5 video, I was flipping through the Writing Life, Writers on How They Think and Work, a collection from the Washington Post book world. My eye quickly settled on the chapter by McCullough that he titled Climbing into Another Head. McCullough, described by Publishers Weekly as the preeminent master of narrative history, writes, "For about 6 years now, in the time it's taken to write my biography of John Adams, I have largely abandoned reading anything written in our own day. For along with research of the kind to be expected with such a book, I have been trying as much as possible to know Adams through what he read as well as what he wrote." This means that not only did McCullough read the classical literature of Tacitus, Marcus Aurelius, Rousseau, and Voltaire, but also Jonathan Swift's Tale of the Tub, Tristram Shandy, a novel by Tobias Smollett called The Expedition of Humphrey Clinker, and hundreds more. Research for McCullough goes well beyond reading primary material and secondary writings about his subject. It includes getting into the head of the person he's writing about. To understand John Adams, McCullough wanted to know what the subject thought about and what influenced his thinking. There was no detail too small for McCullough to experience. For example, as soon as he learned that Adams walked the 100 steps up the tower of Christ Church in Philadelphia to look out across the city, he knew that he also must walk those same steps. He needed to immerse himself, to marinate his head and his body in John Adams. Here's your takeaway. Whether you are writing memoir or fiction, you need to give serious attention to each of the characters in your book. Don't just write about your mother casually, for example. You only knew her once she was an adult. Find out what she was like as a child. Read a book that was popular when she was a teenager, even if you don't have a handy list of all the books she read. If possible, go back to her hometown. Visit places she would have known. Read newspaper articles from that time period in her town. Did she go to college? What was her major? What textbooks would she have read? Much of your research will not go into your book, but will marinate your head so that it shares your mother's mindset. Now when you write about her, she will be a fuller person with positive and negative elements, not a pretend perfect person. Here's a final quote from McCullough I'd like to share with you. He writes, "I think it's important to remember that these men are not perfect. If they were marble gods, what they did wouldn't have been so admirable. The more we see the founders as humans, the more we can understand them." Our lesson is that in writing, the more human traits we learn about a book's major characters, the more we can write about these people with a depth of understanding. As you listen to this video, as well as all of our Writing in 5 quick tips, Kendra Bonnet and I hope to inspire you to consider your own writing practices and philosophy. We invite you to visit Writing Alchemy online for more audios and videos. That's www.writingalchemy.com. In our book, Writing Alchemy, Kendra and I present a revolutionary new method that puts you in control of the creative process. Through our writing classes, we found that just using the various elements of good writing is not enough. The writer needs to know how to use them deliberately. Writing Alchemy can help you effectively integrate all the elements into your writing, turning your words into gold, hence Writing Alchemy. Thank you for watching, and now it's time for you to put your reading, your dreaming, and your wishing aside and get to writing.